Gojo vs Sukuna has been one of the greatest anime fights of our generation. It's absolutely insane how Gigi was able to bring such an imaginative fight into the manga environment. And seriously, I can't wait for the fight to be animated. But here is a question that I've been asking myself, and I'm not sure if anybody has thought about it like this. Who would win in a fight between Sukuna and Gojo in all their forms? I mean, imagine it. Teen Gojo versus One Finger Sukuna. Who takes this win? In this video, we're going to break it all down. We'll start Gojo against Sukuna in every stage of their respective form and see who comes out on top. From Teen Gojo all the way to Adult Gojo versus Sukuna. Before we dive in though, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, share and subscribe. We're aiming for 1500 subscribers by the end of this month, and I would really appreciate your support. So alright, let's get right into this video. First up, we have Teen Gojo versus One Finger Sukuna. Now, as much as I would love to say that Sukuna would take this win, I just don't feel that confident, and let me break it down to you. We still don't know if Sukuna can expand his domain expansion with just one finger. And honestly, that makes all the difference. If Sukuna can use his domain expansion with just one finger, then yeah, he probably takes this fight. But if he can't, if his cost energy output is too low to open his domain properly, then I'm pretty sure Teen Gojo absolutely comes out on top. Why, you may ask? Because Teen Gojo is no slouch. His infinity is nearly unbeatable, and we've seen how quickly he can overwhelm opponents with his speed and cost technique mastery. Without the domain expansion or the ability to use his full strength, Sukuna is not just in the same league with Teen Gojo. Next up, we have Teen Gojo versus Three Finger Sukuna, and let's be real, Sukuna absolutely takes this one. Why? Well, Gojo is at a real disadvantage here. He doesn't have a win condition at this particular period. Gojo is still figuring out his own power. He can only use blue. He can't keep infinity active all the time. He doesn't know how to use reverse course technique. And he can't even use red. At this period, he can't use domain expansion. On the other hand, Three Finger Sukuna isn't just holding his own. He has his own domain expansion. He can use reverse course technique with ease. The only thing Gojo might have as a counter is Falling Blossom Emotion, which means that Gojo's movements are restricted. But honestly, even that's not enough to survive Sukuna at this level. Sukuna takes this one, no debate, no question. Now we're moving to Awaken Gojo versus Three Finger Sukuna. And guess what? I'm still going with Sukuna at this point. Why? Because nothing much has really changed in this scenario. Yeah, Gojo gained some new abilities. He can use red, he can use purple now, and he has a weaker version of reverse course technique. But the key is, he still has no counter against Sukuna's domain expansion. Sukuna's domain is a game changer in this fight, and we know that he can counter Gojo's infinity. Gojo's power might have grown, but it's still not enough to stand up against Three Finger Sukuna overwhelming ability. Sukuna takes this one hands down. Alright, moving on. Shibuya Gojo versus 15 Finger Sukuna. And as much as I would love to say that Sukuna wins this one, I'm going to give it to Gojo, and here is why. It has been confirmed in the official fan book that Gojo is stronger than 15 Finger Sukuna. And this fan book covers everything from Jujutsu Kaisen 0 to the Shibuya arc. And when Gege was asked who is currently the strongest character, he straight up said it was Gojo. So what does that mean? Well, it suggests that Sukuna's domain refinement is actually affected by the splitting of his soul across his fingers. And that makes all the difference. Gojo's domain expansion is on a whole nother level, and since that essentially dictates the battle, Gojo would absolutely demolish Sukuna here. Gojo takes this 100%. Now let's talk about Shibuya Gojo versus 16 Finger Sukuna. And even with all these extra fingers, I'm still giving it to Gojo. Sure, Sukuna now has Megumi's 10 shadows at his disposal, but still that doesn't change the fact that Gojo's domain expansion is still superior. The depth and the power of Gojo's domain would overwhelm Sukuna at this point. And if Sukuna were to release Maoraga, well, Gojo would just one-tap it and that would be the end of it. So as much as I would love to throw Sukuna a win here, Gojo's sheer power and mastery over his technique gives him the win every time. Gojo completely obliterates Sukuna in this battle. Next up, we have Shibuya Gojo versus 20 Finger Sukuna. And this one, well, it's definitely going to Sukuna. And here is why. Gojo's biggest disadvantage here is going to be that he doesn't know how to use a shrunken domain. And you might be wondering, what's the deal with that? Well, the technique was something Gojo learned while being trapped in the prison realm. It became a huge win condition for Gojo because without it, he struggled against Sukuna's superior domain expansion. Sukuna can break Gojo's domain outer shell with ease. And once that happens, Gojo is in a tight spot. Without a way to block or counter Sukuna's domain, there is absolutely nothing Gojo can do to survive it. Sukuna wins this battle, no debate. Gojo has no way of holding his ground in this particular scenario. Now let's jump to Shinjuku Gojo versus 20 Finger Sukuna. And this is where things start to get really intense. We already know that the winner here is Sukuna, but trust me, it was a close fight. We got to see them go back and forth, with Gojo using his domain expansion, tricking it to make the outer exterior stronger to defend against Sukuna's attack. But Sukuna wasn't backing down, trying to break through Gojo's defense with his own domain expansion. Then we get that insane moment where Gojo uses blue and red technique to create the ultimate aloe purple, and that was just amazing. But Sukuna, being the absolute beast he is, made Mahoraga adapt to Gojo's infinity and also use Universal Slash, making Sukuna able to learn Universal Slash in the process. With that ability, Sukuna can break through Gojo's defense. And we all know that with this newfound skill, Sukuna takes the win. So in this fight, despite Gojo's insane power and creativity, Sukuna takes this one. Now let's talk about Shinjuku Gojo versus Incarnated Sukuna. And honestly, this one is a bit more straightforward. Gojo takes this 100%, and here is why. Gojo at this point not only has his domain expansion at full power, but he also has everything in his arsenal working for him. On the other hand, Incarnated Sukuna is at a major disadvantage because his domain expansion is not working, his reverse course technique not working either. The only thing he has left for him is his terrifying World Cutting Slash. Now, we know that Gojo, being as skilled as he is, can dodge Sukuna World Cutting Slash if he concentrates hard enough. That's a huge advantage. With Gojo being able to deploy his domain expansion and use reverse course technique, Sukuna is left with very few options here. Even though Sukuna has been healed and is back at full power, without his domain expansion or reverse course technique, he is definitely in a very tight spot. Is this going to be an easy win for Gojo? Not exactly, but in a battle this intense, I would say that this might be a mid-level or an intense fight, but at the end of the day, Gojo takes the win. Now, let's dive into Shinjuku Gojo versus OG Sukuna. Now, I'll have to give this one to Sukuna, and here is why. Yes, Gojo has everything working for him at this point. His domain expansion is top tier, and he even has the added advantage of a shrunken domain. But we need to talk about why OG Sukuna has the upper hand in this fight. First off, OG Sukuna's body is a game changer. He's operating in the most powerful vessel, a body that is literally designed for peak sorcery. It's far stronger than Meguna, and that makes all the difference. This is a Sukuna with 4 hands and 2 mouths, meaning that he can accelerate his attack and use his ability at insane speed. His physical power is off the chart compared to Meguna, which gives him an advantage even before we get into his cost technique ability. When it comes to power level, I believe at this stage, Sukuna is either equal to Gojo or slightly stronger. And with that kind of strength, he can go toe-to-toe with Gojo's domain expansion. If their domain were at the same level, it would be a long, drawn-out battle. But here's where things get tricky. Because OG Sukuna has a body that is better suited for fighting, I don't think Gojo will be able to match Sukuna's stamina and capacity to maintain the domain. If Gojo tries to extend his domain too many times, let's say the 5th attempt, he starts suffering brain damage, and that's where Sukuna takes the advantage. Because of Sukuna's amplified strength and sheer efficiency with his body, Gojo will be unable to push Sukuna into a stalemate long enough to outlast him. Instead, Sukuna will be able to push his domain expansion 1 second earlier, meaning that Sukuna would not get hit by Gojo's unlimited void. In conclusion, when it comes to raw power, domain mastery and stamina, OG Sukuna has the edge over Gojo. This battle will be intense, but Sukuna's enhancements are just too much for Gojo to handle. And there you have it. After stacking Gojo and Sukuna in all their forms, from Teen Gojo all the way to Shinjuku Gojo versus OG Sukuna, we can see just how intense and layered their rivalry really is. While both characters bring their A-game to the table, it's clear that Sukuna, especially in his later form, has the upper hand in the battle. With his superior body and domain expansion, Gojo might be the ultimate sorcerer, but Sukuna's raw power and adaptability are just overwhelming at certain points in their journey. Of course, the battle is far from being one-sided, and any of these encounters could go either way, depending on the circumstance. But one thing is certain, whether it's Gojo or Sukuna taking the win, We're all in for one epic showdown when this eventually makes the big screen. What do you think? Do you agree with this breakdown, or would you give Gojo the win in some of this fight? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's hit the 1,500 subscribers before the ending of this month. Your support really means a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.